You're going to find the Kia Sportage available as a traditional gas engine, as a traditional hybrid, or as a plug-in hybrid. This specific one is the LX entry level for the gas version, which means it's pretty much as basic as it's going to get. And in this video, I just want to cover some basics, what's going on with the difference in the trim levels, some interior technology, what's going on underneath the hood, and a few things. But if you want tech-specific videos, like how to use the steering wheel buttons, the cluster, the infotainment systems, you'll find those walkthroughs down in the description, along with the contact details for Durham Kia, who were nice enough to lend this thing to me for the afternoon to shoot the video for you guys. But let's unpack this thing and see if the LX is actually worth it. You're going to find the Sportage available front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. And that's going to depend on which trim level of the vehicle that you're in, because the LX is available front-wheel or all-wheel drive. But you get into some of those higher trims like the Prestige Pro or the X lines, etc. Those are strictly going to be available all-wheel drive instead. One cool thing is that through the cluster screen, you've got the option of shooting between a few different drive modes and terrain modes. So if you were looking for snowy conditions, you're taking it maybe a little bit off-roading, you've got some options available there. A series of different style wheels that are available too. I love the dark ones though. The Kia cap in the middle that's black, I love it. I think if this thing was fully black though, it would look even better. I like the black bezels that follow through the new lamps that were introduced last year. The styling is fantastic. You're gonna have LED headlamps standard inside the vehicle with the option for fog lamps depending on which trim level of the vehicle that you're in. There's some technology you're not gonna find in the LX trim that you will find available in some of the higher trims of the vehicle. So forward sensing system and then the surround monitor, so that full 360 camera is available in some of the higher trims. And that's the same thing with like a head-up display, different cluster and things like that. The front end styling is nice and simple. Front bumper there has these nice gray highlights. You've got that beautiful Kia badge right in the middle of the hood. Underneath the hood of the Sportage, you've got 3 different powertrain options that are available. So it's either going to be the 2.5 liter non-turbo, there's the 1.6 liter turbo traditional hybrid, and then the 1.6 liter turbo plug-in hybrid. This 2.5 liter pushes at 187 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty respectable. But when you get into that plug-in, it's a 1.6 turbo, and the combined numbers are 261 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty dang respectable. So if power is your thing, you're definitely going to want to look at the 1.6 liter plug-in hybrid instead, which has like a series of other benefits, because you look at the gas engine and the fuel economy is pretty good. But when you get into the regular hybrid, that's going to give you slightly better fuel economy. But when you get into the plug-in hybrid, it's even better fuel economy with the added benefit of having fully electric range. So the electric range inside of the plug-in version of the Sportage is going to be 55 kilometers or 34 miles. And it's interesting the way that charging and things like that work. So traditional hybrid, you don't have to worry about charging whatsoever. It's just that if you want better fuel economy, that'll be the way to go. Like I said, with that plug-in hybrid with those electric kilometers or miles, it's useful. Level 1 charge times, you're looking at a little over 11 hours inside of the plug-in version of the vehicle. And then if you do a level 2 supercharge, it drops down to like 2 hours. So do you go for level 1 versus level 2? Honestly, I think that for most people, you'd probably be okay with just a regular wall outlet. So just like a level 1 charger. It's a nice little cover with the GDI badge in the very middle. All of your fluids to top up, check, change oil and things like that. Just make sure you're going for regular oil changes and regularly scheduled maintenance to get the best possible life out of your ride, and make sure you're maintaining the manufacturer's warranty. Filling up fuel inside of the Sportage is straightforward, and it's just along the driver's side. One cool thing about the cover is that if the vehicle's locked, so is the cover, which is kind of cool. You've got a capped system there too. So if you're concerned about fuel theft, you could just get an aftermarket cap if you wanted to with a key on it. It doesn't matter if you're in the gas version of the Sportage, one of the hybrids, minimum manufacturer's recommendation is just regular 87 octane, so regular unleaded. I like the styling in the back end here. You've got these nice black bezels that shoot all the way across the lamps. Tiny little spoiler there, and then the rear wiper is hidden just right underneath the spoiler. Sportage badge along the bottom left with that nice new Kia badge right in the very middle. Now this one doesn't have the available tow setup, but if you were towing inside of the Sportage, you are maxing out at 2,500 pounds as long as you've got trailer brakes. Without trailer brakes, I think it's 1,653 pounds, which is still pretty respectable. If you need a little bit more, you could look at the Sorento or the Telluride, which has been a pretty big hit so far. Getting into the trunk of the vehicle is going to depend on which trim level of the vehicle that you're in. The LX, it is just going to be a manual liftgate. There's the option for power with the smart power liftgate instead, so it can automatically lift up as you approach the rear end. But getting into the trunk of this thing is straightforward. So if you trace just underneath the A in Kia, just to the right-hand side of the rear camera, there's a button you can push in order to lift this thing up. I prefer the power liftgate though, like that smart liftgate to be able to walk up to the back and have it raise up. I just think it's a cool feature, but at the same time, I don't mind doing it myself. Now, the cargo area of the vehicle, there's not a ton of stuff back here. Like there's just a little release for the second row seats along the right side. There's a 12-volt power point, and then a release for the second row left part of the bench on the left-hand side. This specific one is just the regular carpeted liner. And then lifting it up, there's the mini spare tire. Folding down the second row seats though is straightforward. So I mentioned there's a 12-volt power point back there. And then there's the release for the seats. You can just pull. One cool thing is that the seats themselves, they actually do lock, they firmly lock down into place. You've got to pull the little lever along the side in order to lift the seat up. But same idea, in order to fold the seat down, you can then just pull in order to drop the seat down again. One other thing to point out is that when you're folding the seats down, if the driver's seat or passenger seat are too far back, you will have to slide them forward in order to be able to have those seats folded flat. Take a peek at the size of the Sportage and just some exterior styling here. There's this little highlight just underneath the windows, roof rack rails that are silver with the options for crossbars. So if you want to put on a roof rack carrier, that is available as an option. Taking a peek at the side mirrors, inside of the LX version of the vehicle, it's basic. It doesn't even have the blind spot monitoring system. But that system is available along with power folding and power heated side mirrors. Along the outside here, same idea. It's simple, it's basic. There's nothing to the handle itself, no intelligent access and things like that. But that would technically be available. Interior nice and simple. I like this little texture though. Looks nice, but your basics, side view mirror control, window control, a little bit of storage with your speaker there as well. But that highlight, it follows through the dash all the way through, which looks good. You've got the option of increasing or decreasing the brightness of the cluster screen, turn traction control on or off, and then there's also the parking brake. Getting underneath the hood, and then whether or not you have manual or power seats are going to depend on which trim level of the vehicle that you're in. So this will move the seat up and down. This is for your backrest, and then you can also slide the seat forward or backwards using that little guy right there. But I mean, the interior here is simple. There's not too much to it. The seats inside of the LX, like the cloth seats, actually aren't that bad. The headrest is actually surprisingly comfortable. Okay, just a two-way adjustable headrest, but still, there's actually a really good amount of cushion in that headrest. It's good. Wiggle test, definitely there. And there's a few different style seats that you're going to get. It's going to be either manual seats, power seats, depending on the trim level. But I mean, hold on. Oh, wow. Okay, so with the seat as far down as it's going to go, I've got what, like 6+ inches of headspace, which is kind of ridiculous. So if you're a little bit taller, you'll be able to sit inside the vehicle. Now, obviously, like this one doesn't have the sunroof, but if you were in one that did have the roof, you just lose a tiny little bit of like headspace. Not a ton, just a little bit. Nice and simple. Old school. Traditional key fob. But there's the option for the traditional key or push button start, just depending on which trim level of the vehicle that you're in. This is the LX base, which is why it's that way, but steering wheel inside of this thing, nice and simple. Some trim levels of the vehicle do have a heated steering wheel, I should say. It's just that this specific one doesn't have it available as an option. But it does, I guess, yeah, it has first row heated seats at least, which is nice. It's the same way option for ventilated seats. I'll touch on that in a second. But this is nice and simple. Basic highlights, series of different buttons and things like that. So things like a voice command prompt, answer or hang up on a phone call, move through the cluster screen, all that fun stuff. But if you want a full walkthrough of the steering wheel, the cluster, or the infotainment systems, you'll find that down in the description of this video. But some basics, I mentioned heated steering wheel as a possibility, manual telescoping just by your left knee there. I like the cluster. It's kind of cool. And then one nice thing is that through the center stack there, you've got this little selector switch so you can go between different drive modes or different terrain modes. It's kind of nice. It's going to play with your traction control, stability control, and a few other things. Pretty neat. See there? Basic, so you've got options for radio. So it's kind of neat. Like there are two different screens that are available inside of the Sportage. So it's either this smaller 8-inch or there's a larger 10.25-inch. Big difference between the two of them is that with this one, it's wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but it doesn't have factory navigation. The larger screen has factory navigation, but it's wired Android Auto and Apple CarPlay instead. I think it's kind of backwards, but here nor there, it's still as nice as screen is available. But if you want a full walkthrough, like I said, on the cluster or the screen, you'll find it in the description. But you've got options for radio, for media, so AM, FM, Bluetooth. If you had a USB stick with MP3s on it, you can plug yourself in to listen that way. But before I start playing the audio, there is one thing. There are a few different speaker choices that are available inside of the Sportage. So it's either going to be a 6-speaker system standard in most trim levels, with the option for an upgraded 8-speaker Harmon Kardon instead. The Harmon Kardon one is really, really solid audio. This one is pretty good. I'll let you listen to it in a second. There's one thing that I'm definitely going to recommend you do. Whether you're in the Sportage or any other vehicle, you're going to go to your media settings, so your sound settings, go into your sound tuning so you can adjust your treble, mid-range, bass. You're going to drop your treble by 2 points, crank your bass by 3 in order to give yourself really good audio. So this audio test is just coming right out of the microphone. There's no post-processing done whatsoever.
It's like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they ride, Head full of flies, so here come the clouds, They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost,
Okay, so I gotta say, the first kind of little volume test I did there, it was turned up to about halfway, just under half. Then I went 3/4 of the way. So those small tweaks to the audio, it just gives a complete difference to the dynamics of the sound. Obviously, like I said, it's not quite as good as the Harmon Kardon sound system, but I think for most people, the base speaker system is probably going to be good enough. But this screen, honestly, like it's fairly basic. You've got the option of connecting over Bluetooth for audio, and like I said, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay that are wireless, which is kind of cool. Got tuning rocker, volume rocker, 4-way blinkers. I've also got single zone climate control, dual zone in some other trims of the vehicle. Do you want this going to windshield face feet, all of the above, etc. It's 12-volt power point, USB type C, and then a regular USB type A. The USB type A is the one that you're going to use for data connections. This one is strictly for charging. So plugging in USB, if you're charging your phone up and things like that, you have to use this port if you want to use data at the same time. Otherwise, this one, you're just going to be charging up. The shifter inside of this thing is, honestly, like it's pretty nice. You've got your park reverse with your basic backup camera there. Neutral drive, and then when you're in drive, you can move over in order to go into a manual mode there instead. Pretty neat. I did mention the option for heated first row seats, a heated steering wheel, and then there'd be the option for ventilated first row seats as well. So heated is standard pretty much, well, it's standard across the board in Canada, optional in the LX trim level in the States, but otherwise it's standard across the board. You've got a series of different buttons here. So this one is going to be your downhill brake controller, auto hold with, this one's a neat one because if you've got the auto hold setting turned on and you put yourself in drive, take your foot off the brake, I was like, please don't move, please don't move. The car doesn't move with that setting turned on. Auto start stop is the one that's going to kill power to the engine if you're stopped for an extended period of time. There's the little park button there so you can get your backup camera. And you've also got, these are kind of neat. I don't know why I like these so much. It's like extra buttons and things to play with, I guess. But I guess one cool thing is that if you've got a really big bottle, like this little guy, it fits in there. Really neat. It's so rare to find a vehicle that's got their cup holders fit this, but if you need something smaller for like a can of pop, you've got that available. That's just so cool. Nice and simple. I'm easily entertained sometimes. Along the back there, so you've got nice armrest, not a ton of space in there, and there's no power points or anything like that otherwise. I like this highlight though. Feels really solid. Little glove box, good amount of space, non-lockable though. You can see a few different speakers there. This one has a dash cam that's wired in nicely. Good job, guys. There's the option for so this is obviously the manual dimming rear view, basic cabin control lights. You've got the visor with a vanity mirror built in. Lights are there as always. Then you can extend this thing out, lock in, all of the sun that might be hitting your face. Oh yeah. There's a little assist handle there on the driver's side. But this is good. Now, hold on. Gotta set the seat up for the way that I would typically drive. Yeah, I'd say that's good. So with the seat set up the way that I would typically drive, inside of the second row, I've got a good amount of foot space, great amount of knee space. And up overhead, looking at 3.5, almost 4 inches of head space there, which is pretty respectable. Could you fit 3 full-size versions of me back here? Be a little bit tight for whoever's stuck in the middle seat. Just because in the middle seat, there's like this little hump in the middle. So it'd be like man spreading a little bit in order to sit in the seat. It's doable. One cool thing about the seats, so there's a lever along the side in order to be able to collapse the seat if you want to fold it down. But you can also recline this thing like crazy, giving yourself a boatload of headspace. So like realistically, like the foot space would be the big one, but like 6'6", you'll probably be able to comfortably sit inside of the second row of this thing, which is wild. There would be the option for heated second row seats in some trim levels of the vehicle. It's trim level specific, and that's just going to be for the outboard seats. So this middle seat is never going to be heated whatsoever. On the driver's side, you've got a little handle and a hook, versus on the passenger, strictly going to be just a regular grab handle instead. And then there's also a little light up overhead. But let's take this thing up for a spin and see how it handles. The 2.5 liter engine inside of the Sportage, like it's not the most powerful engine in the world, but for the class size that it's at, it definitely keeps pace with some competitors. 2.5 liter, 187 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty good. But if you want power, like the most amount of power, you're going to want to look at the plug-in hybrid version of the vehicle. So that's got a combined horsepower and torque rating of, 261 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty damn good. Come on, let's get this 2.5 going. And actually, you know what I want to do? Let's go sport mode. Here we go. Okay, so you're definitely not winning any drag competitions in this thing whatsoever. But I think for people though, where you don't really care about the power, you don't care about the extra technology, the LX could be a good option. Like the 2.5 liter engine could be good for people that, you know, they're just going A to B. You don't necessarily care about power. You just want a fun vehicle that's got space for 5 people. Driving dynamics, not too shabby. Durham Kia out here in Oshawa were nice enough to lend this thing to me for the afternoon to shoot the video for you guys today. So if you're after a Kia, they've got some nice used inventory as well, but I would definitely say, like, if you're after any Kia vehicle, you definitely want to check these guys out. And that was the Kia Sportage LX. Entry-level trim, but it's still got pretty good capability. I just personally love all of the technology you'll find in some of the higher trims. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comment section, and you can find a build link for this specific vehicle, contact details for Durham Kia, all the tech walkthrough links down in the description. But if you enjoyed this one, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and until I see you next time, take care. This is the 2024 Kia Sportage. Sportage? Sportage. It's so weird. Hold on. How do you say Sportage?
Sportage.
No! Sportage. I don't know about that one. And then if you just trace underneath the A in Kia, just next to the backup camera, you can push there. Why aren't you unlocking? Come on, you little bugger. You're unlocked. What? Oh, come on, eat it.